You're going to see the prioritization questions. You're going to see the delegation questions. You're going to see the select all that apply. You're definitely going to see the questions on who will you take care of first? Who will you save first? It's not going to actually say who will you save first, but that's what they're looking for. So hide and seek till I found you. Oh, I found you. Oh, I found you. Yeah, you. Hello, nurse besties. It's your girl Dominica, aka Nurse Nakia. I'm back with a new video. If you're new here, my name is Dominica. I go by Nurse Nakia here on YouTube, and on this channel we talk all things nursing. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving y'all my real raw experience on how I passed the NCLEX. But before we get into that, y'all, we're gonna dial it back a little bit. Let's just dial it back a little bit. I recently took my NCLEX about a month ago, guys, and I failed. Oh. Yes. And on this channel, we are open, honest, and transparent. So I do want to give y'all the tea on what not to do, what I should have did better, and how I went from this fail to this pass. So let's get right into the video. I took the NCLEX RN about a month ago, right? And I did not pass on that first attempt. So what I used the first time around when I was studying and preparing for the NCLEX RN, I did use UWorld and I did use the Mark K lectures. And do not get me wrong, I am not here to say that those resources was terrible, because actually they was not. Pretty good resources. It was not for me at the time, but I do know people who have used UWorld and passed successfully. I do know people who have used Mark K lectures and passed successfully. And actually, I was one of the ones who used UWorld for my NCLEX PN about, let's say, about 5 years ago when I went through my LPN program, and I used UWorld alone. And that right there got me the pass that I wanted on the very first attempt. So I'm not here to say that those resources are bad. It just did not work for me this time around for the NCLEX RN. So I say all that to say this. It's not about the resources being bad. It's not about the resources that you chose right off the back. But personally, for me, it was more about where I was mentally when I was prepping for this exam, because life happens, especially for the ones who have kids, you're married, you have family, parents that you may be taking care of, anything, life happens. So I wasn't there mentally. I was not fully mentally prepared when I was prepping for that NCLEX RN. Before we move on, I want to say I did study really hard, probably the hardest I have ever studied before, because I wanted this so bad, but I was operating under pressure, and that does not mix. So even though I studied really hard, I did not lock in like I was supposed to, guys. I did not give NCLEX RN my full undivided attention. I was operating underneath pressure. It was a few things that went hand in hand that prevented me from getting that pass score that I really wanted. It wasn't just about the resources, because I'm here to tell you, you probably can pick any resource that you feel that you do well with, because everything is not for everybody. So if you one of the students that might feel like Archer is a thing, I would say do the free trials, y'all. I would say do the free trials. Bootcamp has a free trial. Archer has a free trial. UWorld has a free trial. Once you get those free trials in and you see which resource resonate best with you, that's the one that you go with. But it's a little bit more to the puzzle. Once you choose that resource, you have to go heavy. You have to apply pressure. You have to get those practice questions in every single day. You have to even write down certain information that's not sticking, because everything don't stick for everybody as you might think. Now, it's almost the same when we were in nursing school, right? We gather our study materials and we find a quiet environment. We sit down, we reset. We might have to write out handwrite notes, because I practice what I preach, right? But again, that's something that I did not do with the NCLEX when I was preparing for NCLEX. So I let myself down on that. I just had to put that out there. And I also felt that I knew content, but I wasn't confident. And only because, like I said before, I was working under pressure. So I knew going in there, I felt that I had it down packed, but once I left, I kind of knew, like, oh God, the outcome may not be as positive, only because I knew. And not only that, guys, I did have about 15 to 20 case studies. I did have about 15, select all that applies. And I noticed on my second attempt, it was not as heavy. And I gotta remind y'all, every NCLEX exam is different. So you might hear someone say, well, I had EKG strips, or I had a lot of maternity questions, I had a lot of mental health questions, because every exam is different. So I can't say, well, you need to go hard on this and you need to go hard on this. No, that's not the case. But what I will say, though, they will throw a lot of prioritization questions at you, because they want to know, can you keep your patient alive and can you think like a nurse? So of course you're going to get those prioritization questions. Of course you're going to get those delegation questions, because this is who you are becoming. When you get done sitting for NCLEX, you will be in the field, you will be saving lives, you will be changing lives, you will make a difference. So NCLEX is testing how you think in all of these different situations. Even if you get a lot of mental health questions, they want to know, can you critically think in that mental health situation? If you have a labor and delivery patient and you have a lot of questions about labor and delivery, can you critically think like a nurse when you're in those situations? If you have to delegate certain assignments to CNAs or whomever is in the environment, are you able to stand up like a boss and do what it is you need to do at the time you need to do it? So all of these questions, you will see a mix of all of these questions. You might see management questions, you're going to see the prioritization questions, you're going to see the delegation questions, you're going to see the select all that apply. You're definitely going to see the questions on who would you take care of first, who will you save first. It's not going to actually say who will you save first, but that's what they're looking for. So keep that in mind when you are prepping for those exams, because those are the things that you will be seeing the most, right? If it's safe to say that. So I don't know, I feel like somebody needed to hear that. But we all needed to hear that. So anyhow, back to that mindset shift. So I did want to key in a little bit on that mindset shift after that failed attempt, because I never experienced that before. Like I said, when I took my LPN NCLEX exam, I passed on the first attempt. So me having to feel what it felt like to fail my NCLEX on the first attempt in this RN program was really devastating for me. So I'm thinking to myself, if I felt this way, maybe other nursing students have felt this way. And so if this is your first time taking the exam, I don't want you to feel what I felt. So again, that mind shift for me was more on the lines of, Dominica, what are you doing wrong? This is what I'm thinking when I got those results back. What am I doing wrong? Although I know that I was working under pressure, although I know that I didn't apply myself 100%, although I know that I didn't finish out those Q banks like I was supposed to. So it was a lot of things where I know where I went wrong at. So I had to do a reevaluation and pull myself together, tell myself it's okay, because the end goal at the end of the day is to get here. We want to get here. We want to get our license. That's the end goals. So even if I failed that first attempt, I had to remind myself, you got this. Because let me say this, if you can get through nursing school, honey, you can get through that NCLEX. Period. Point blank and period. Nursing school, and I say this with my whole heart. With my whole heart. Oh, do you hear me? If you can get through nursing school, you can pass that NCLEX RN, or even those of you who taken the NCLEX PN, you can get through NCLEX. I'm gonna be the first one to say that, because baby, nursing school is hard. It really is. All right. So anyhow, after I pulled myself together, I realized the things that I was doing wrong. I realized what it was that was hindering me. I just had to go in and fix it. So within that 45-day period, because you do have to wait 45 days before you retest. So within that 45-day period, I told myself, I am not going to worry about anything that is out of my control. I am not going to even think about anything that I cannot. There's nothing else for me to do but to lock in and to focus on passing my exam. And that's exactly what I did for those 45 days. And I did switch my resource, so I ended up moving along to Bootcamp, which we finna get into that in a minute. I end up moving along to Bootcamp, and I also used a second resource, which was Dr. Sharon. She's a YouTuber who talks NCLEX. She's awesome. So that combination alone has made all the difference for me. As you can see, we succeeded. And again, this is my personal experience and what worked well for me. And you never know, it may help somebody. So that was my combination. Bootcamp and Dr. Sharon was my combination for helping me pass the NCLEX successfully, all right? And I'm going to say, guys, Bootcamp honestly gave me what I was missing. I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it is another resource that nursing students use to help pass their NCLEX. So what I loved about Bootcamp the most was the Q-Bank. The Q-Bank was amazing. You do have different packages that you can do. I think I only chose the 60-day packet, if that's what it was. I'm gonna put the prices in a package somewhere in one of these boxes, but I did do that for my second attempt. And I'm gonna say Bootcamp Q-Bank wasn't about just answering the questions. I felt like that platform really showed me how to think like the NCLEX, if that makes any sense. Those questions were very similar to NCLEX in my opinion. Also, we had the crash courses. Also, we had the crash courses. So with that, it's just a live person talking to you about the disease processes, the different subjects and the topics, and then they give you a little question at the end to see if you can answer the questions on what they just talked about. And I feel like that was really helpful because a lot of times we need somebody to express that verbally in front of us. We need somebody to verbalize and break down certain disease processes and key in on certain things that we miss on the regular. It could be a crash course about stroke. You may know all the things about stroke, but it might be something that you need to key in on that you never really gave your fully undivided attention to. And with those crash courses, it's going to get straight to the point. And that's what I liked about that. So Bootcamp also offered the cheat sheets, which I talked about before, because I always thought that those cheat sheets was awesome. Even if you were in school, I think that those cheat sheets are very helpful because it gives you quick facts. It breaks down disease processes, but it gives you clear explanations on all the things. And again, sometimes we need that simple breakdown. Maybe we're not getting that in lecture. Maybe we're not getting that through the lecture slides. Maybe we're not getting that through the practice questions. So sometimes, friends, sometimes it's okay to sit there through those crash courses and listen to other people explain some of the things that we are not comprehending. And that is amazing. And last but not least, with Bootcamp, they offer 4 CAT scans. And the CAT scans are basically an imitation of NCLEX. It's basically you're going to sit down at your computer for, I think it's like an hour and a half or 2 hours, and you're going to answer those questions as if you were in the NCLEX environment. And it's going to score you on if you are highly likely to pass the NCLEX, if you are on the borderline, or if you are under. And they have 4 of those, and I only used 3 of them. Now, the way I set that up for myself was I did the practice questions for, I don't know, a few days, and then I'll go do a CAT scan, just the CAT exam, just to see where I'm scoring, right? I might get a high, I might get a low, or I might get that borderline. So then I'll do a couple more 100 questions, and then I'll do another CAT scan to see if I'm improving or declining. So this is a good way to check on your mental health to see if you are processing and understanding the material information that's being given to you. And then on that 3rd exam, I did another 300 questions. This is over the course of 3 or 4 days too, not in one day. So I did another few hundred questions, and then I did my last CAT exam, y'all. And I felt so confident. I scored high basically on all 3 of those CAT exams. So I didn't feel the need to do the very last one. I could have, but I felt confident. And that's what you need. When you get to the level of, I got this, NCLEX ain't got nothing on me, honey, you there. Because you know what you know. So there's no need for you to overthink or overanalyze what's happening, because if you're getting these questions right, if you're looking at these rationales, if you know what you know, you got the confidence that you need to go inside NCLEX and pass. And that is exactly what happened to me and how I got that pass score. All right? So I say all that to say this. If you don't want to have to retake the NCLEX exam like I had to, I think you should go with, this is just my recommendation, I think you should go with Bootcamp on that first time around. And you can also pair it with something else. I paired it with Dr. Sharon, which I'm about to get into that in a second. But some people do pair it with Simple Nursing. Some people pair it with other YouTube videos. I'm not too sure about all of those, but what I used was Dr. Sharon for my second good resource, and I'm gonna give y'all a little bit insight on that as well. My second favorite resource, y'all, is Dr. Sharon on YouTube. Maybe you guys heard of her, maybe you haven't, but you can always look into it. She's awesome. Basically, she teaches you how to think like the NCLEX. That's what we want, right? We want to know how the NCLEX thinks so we can be able to answer those questions when those questions are provided onto us. She really gives good strategies on how to answer these questions, how to eliminate the wrong answers, how to choose between two right answers. She really gets down to the nitty-gritty, and she breaks these questions down to a point you have no choice but to understand. And like I said before, the NCLEX will target different areas for different people because the exam is always different, but she's still going to teach you how to apply knowledge and how to answer those questions. Because let's be real, you're going to see a few questions on the NCLEX and be like, what the heck? What the heck was that, right? And I'm pretty sure you heard a lot of people say, well, I walked out of NCLEX feeling like, what was that? I never seen that disease before. I never seen that type of material before. You're gonna run into that, and Dr. Sharon is gonna be the one who's gonna show you how to maneuver around that. She is awesome. Again, thanks Dr. Sharon for helping me pass my NCLEX. Also, she pretty much just help you slow down and approach each question with logic. Sometimes you see a question, you see the answer bank, you read it, you be like, I know it, I know it, I know it. Whole time, it's a setup for failure. So she teaches you how to really just slow down, process what you read the question, read the answer, reread the question, and then choose wisely. And do a process of elimination as well. So I love her for that. She does have a paid version, guys, but I use the free version and I did just fine, because I got my pass score. So you don't necessarily have to pay for the paid version, but if you think you need a little bit more intensive understanding, then maybe you can pay for the paid version. I don't know what it's like because I never used it, so I really can't speak on it, but the free version did me justice paired with that boot camp. All right, keep that in mind. I guess I say all that to say this, guys. The second time around, I definitely felt more confident and I felt more prepared for the NCLEX on that second time around. And that's exactly how I went from this to this. That is my real, raw, honest experience. Take what you must from that video. I really hope that it helps somebody, even if it's just one, because nursing school is serious. We pay a lot of money to be in that program, especially for people who have to retake classes. We have to pay out of pocket to be there. We have to sacrifice time with our family, friends, all of the things just to get this degree. So again, take NCLEX very, very seriously and make sure you are well prepared. So this could be a one-time thing for you guys. And I want to give you guys all the best of my wishes and good luck in nursing school and good luck with your NCLEX exam. I'll see you guys again next week. Bye.